Majo John Madden, Juanito in Mexico, where I am right now in El Diamante, and we're having the bird symphony out here this morning, which happens every day from about 10 to 6 until 6:30. In a way, that's a big distraction from me. Who do you want to listen to, me or them? But it's also an appropriate backdrop for what I'm going to talk about. When I give in to my impulsive, impetuous, romantic nature to talk about romance. It occurred to me that the update I put out yesterday to my friends about my current fixation on Senora Lenin from El Diamante might be your first introduction to me as a lover. I carry about 5 important roles in the world: teacher, mentor, friend, philosopher, and lover. And some of you don't know that last role very well. People who know me intimately, like Tom and Lee and Dennis, are certainly reacting with some aspect of, here he goes again. And some of you who have already hit on recently or repeatedly over the years know it quite well. But some don't. The guys who knew me in the shelter mostly did not know that part of me. It got activated here in Mexico very strongly. Big truck coming down the road. The simple and, stop. The simple and poor and innocent and quite spiritual little town of El Diamante was where I arrived 3 years ago, suddenly devoid of dogs in my life. And I realized during the 3 months I was here that the reason God took those dogs from me was so I could be more available to women. Before that, in my travels, I would always introduce me as we, referring to Pancho or then Magic. And other people I met just assumed I had a partner, and in some ways I did. Neither of those dogs wanted to give up the shotgun seat, nor to share me very fully with a woman. And in fact, I started having more robust relationships with women. Marielle wanted me to be her man. And I spent time at her apartment in Jalapa and her home in Cardell. And I had other, much more engaged, some of them crazy relationships with women here in Mexico. It's kind of a trope that Mexico is a romantic place, and it is. I've talked elsewhere about the psychology of the U.S. is more about competition and separation, whereas Mexico is about the gente, the people, and connection. There's more of a sense of connection. And it is a wildly romantic place. People do romance really well down here. And in some places, especially the Riviera Maya, they do sex wonderfully and freely, more than any place else I've ever experienced. They'll keep their G-string bikinis on even when they leave the beach and go to the bars. So it's no surprise to me that having returned to Mexico so recently, all of a sudden there's several women on the screen, and one very powerfully. I love that part of me. I think lover in the more generic sense is maybe my primary role, that I am filled with love and want to share it with the world. But I also, non-monogamously, and I've talked at length about why that's important to me, want to share it with particular women. And here in Mexico with both expats and senoras and senoritas. Now, technically in Mexico, a woman becomes a senora as soon as she has a baby. But lots of single 20-something women prefer senorita. And I had a wonderful encounter with the woman who ran the Telcel store in Acomao, where she wanted to be senorita even though her daughter was with her at the store every day. And I finally got it, and I said to her, and she's very committedly married. I said, you want to be senorita because it's young, and you feel young. You don't want to be regarded as an old lady. It kind of surprised me when Lenin said she prefers senora. I think it's her way of saying that although she's single and available, she's not easy and not interested in Mexican men. There is no city government here in El Diamante. They don't need it, but I'm going to talk to somebody about it. Isn't there some way they can stop those trucks from coming through at this time of the day? That chance, John. Okay, bye.